All right, I'm going to do an example problem for you here. You've got one like this in the homework, and you're going to see something almost exactly like this on the exam number 2. And if you've never seen it before, I think it's a little bit overwhelming, and there's a lot going on. So what I'm going to try to do is work an example for you, so you can use this when you're doing the homework, and you can also use this in preparation for the exam that will be on, yeah, I can't remember what day it is. The third Tuesday of November. All right, so we have a couple of TCP processes, and they're A and B, and they're communicating. And here you can see the state of all the TCP variables. And we're primarily interested in the conversation from A towards B, but we are given all the values from B back to A. Some of them are important. The last byte that system A sent was 38,600. So that would be the end of the last segment that was sent. The last acknowledgement that A sent was 70,101. It's not important to us. What's important to us is this one, 29,501, the last acknowledgement B sent, and you'll see that in a little bit. We're interested in how much B has confirmed to us because we're worried about what we can send back. The threshold is 40,000. You may recall from the lecture that this is the level at which we transition from exponential growth to linear growth. And that might come in useful here. The current estimated round trip time is 120 milliseconds, and we will use that to calculate ongoing round trip times. The alpha is 0.125, that is the standard value. The current congestion window is 42,500 for A. We are in congestion avoidance mode, and here the last received window value sent, we are interested in what B is advertising to us, and that's 14,000, and then the maximum segment size is right here. Now the homework problem and this problem will ask you to create a table for the TCP process at system A, so that's this system right here, not that, and put the following values in it. And I have done that. I put that into a spreadsheet. It's right here. And I'm going to go through this just real quick. This column is not something that the homework asked you to do, but it's something that I do. And this is an event number, so I'll be able to know event 1 was maybe A sending a packet, or event 2 was maybe receiving an acknowledgement from B. But I'll track these down here, and then I will show the changes that occurred as a result of that event in the table. Now, most of these are from A's perspective. In fact, they all are. The estimated R round trip time here is in milliseconds, 120. The sequence number, this particular start values, there's no packet, so we don't have a sequence number. At the beginning, we can see the last byte sent was 38,600. This is not a packet, so it didn't have any length. The last ACK received, now this, I'm going to switch back. This is the last ACK A received from B. So there's 29,501, that's the last one B sent. And so from A's perspective, this is the last ACK received. The last receive window that we got was 14,000. There it is. B sent us a receive window of 14,000, and we put it here. A's congestion window is 42,500, and we put it there. Now, I'm going to draw your attention. The current window size right here, the current window size is the minimum, the smallest between the receive and the con win, and I have put a little formula in this cell to look at those two. Now, we're currently in congestion avoidance mode. That will come in handy a little bit later. So we're not in slow start mode. And the end of the current window, so this is, if we were to try to send data, this is the last byte we can send. And this is the sum of the last byte sent and the current window size. And so that's what this formula is doing right here. This is adding the last byte sent in E5 to the current window size. And so we can see from this that we can send all the way through 52,600. And this is a mistake. This should be the last ACK received. So I'm going to pull this over here. And sorry about that. The last ACK received plus the current window size, and it's actually -1 because the ACK is the next byte to be sent. So this is the end of the window, 43,500. We cannot send past that. All right, so let's look at what happens here. TCP system, the TCP process on system A begins transmitting as much data as it can send. We've just been asked to transmit 14,000 bytes. We're going to transmit as much as we can. Now right here, immediately after transmitting 3 segments, process A is going to get an ACK. So we're going to send three segments, and then we're going to get an acknowledgement. All right, but let's do the 3 segments first. So I'm going to, in my spreadsheet, you won't be able to see this, but I'm going to rename this cell MSS so that I can use that in my formulas. So this cell is now referred to as MSS. And so the estimated round trip time won't change until we get something back. The sequence number of this packet is going to be 38601. All right, and we still have the same last. Actually, the last byte sent will now be equal to the first byte, the sequence number, plus MSS, and that will calculate at 4101. The length of this is equal to MSS. We're actually just going to send an MSS. The ACK received, we have not received a new ACK. This is us sending, not a packet coming in, so that will not change. And the last receive window received will also not change. I'm just going to use the equal sign here. That'll be easy to copy later. And the Kong win has not changed because the Kong win only changes when we receive an acknowledgement. So this is equals to the one above it. Now the current window size, I can actually copy that, and I'm going to do a, just copy the formula here. Come on, be nice. And I just want the formula. And we're still in congestion avoidance. The end of the window here, I'm just going to, again, copy the formula. And that is a formula. And the end of the window is still 43,500. Now this is important because we look at the last byte sent, 40,101. That cannot be more than the end of the window. If it is, then the packet that's currently being sent will have to be truncated. All right, so now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to copy all this. That's the first packet. So this is, I'm going to change this event 1. I'm going to edit it and say send packet 1. This is packet 1 for this example. All right, so now I'm going to pull all this stuff, and I'm going to copy the formulas. Oh shoot. Problem is I've got that formatting in there, and I don't want. I will, and then I'll change it back to no. So that I'll change it back to where there's no. There we go. All right. So again, we send our second packet. F2, send packet 2, and now this one is equal to, I'm going to make a little adjustment here because this is going to be equal to the MSS minus 1. Oops, F2 minus 1. So this is a result of, we start at 1, we should end at 0, not end at 101. And so this is going to be Control-C, Control-V. We'll copy that there. But this, the sequence number of this is going to equal the last byte sent plus 1. And now we see that the next packet, the second packet sent, will start at 40,101 and will end at 41,600. Again, I'm going to compare this one right here with the end of the window, and I'm okay. I still have not run to the end of the window. The length doesn't change, the ACK number doesn't change, I don't get to change any of my windowing parameters, and I don't change my thing. So that's cool. Now I'm going to basically, let's go ahead and do this, F2, send packet 3. All right, so again, I'm going to copy all this stuff. You can see why I'm using a spreadsheet on this, because doing this by hand would be a nightmare. Now when I send packet 3, it starts at 41,601. That's 1 byte after the last packet's end. And I actually am getting pretty close to the end of the window, but I'm okay. Remember, this window is 14,000 bytes past the last ACK that I got, minus 1 byte. And if I send 1500 bytes that starts at 41601, the last byte will be 43100, and that's still less than the end of the window, so I'm okay. I can actually send all these packets. And we go back to the problem, and we see he's trying to send as much as he can, and immediately after sending 3 segments, process A receives an acknowledgement from process B for 32501. So this event 4 is going to be receive ACK 32501. What does that change? What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, first of all, I'm going to come over here and put my RTT right here. So I'll add a new column, RTT. You don't have to have this, but it will be handy, and you'll see why. 90. Now the new estimated RTT equals the estimated RTT times 1 minus 0.125, that's that value, plus the RTT we just got times 0.125. And this would be a much cleaner formula if I put 125 up somewhere, but I'm not going to worry about that. Whoops, what did I do wrong? I've got M9C times 1 minus 0.0 plus. Oh, I left off my multiplier. Okay, so the new RTT is calculated at 0.116. Notice that here, 41601, I'm not sending data, I'm receiving an ACK. This is still 43100. There's no length of this packet, so that has not changed. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to put these in there. I'm only going to put in the fields that are changing. I now have a new ACK, 32501. All right. And I did not get a new receive window, so that doesn't change. So this receive window stays at 14,000. However, the Kong win does change. The Kong win is going to be equal to the previous Kong win plus MSS star MSS over the Kong win. And that turns that Kong win into 42,553. So I now have a larger Kong win. Sadly, that does not change my window size because it's the smaller of these two values. I'm still in congestion avoidance mode. And now I have a new window, end of window, and the new end of the window is 46,500. I can now send data all the way up to 46,500. So when I received an acknowledgement from B, the round trip time changed, my ACK changed. I did not get a new receive window, but I put it in here just because my formulas are based on that. The congestion window was recalculated, and the current window size stayed the same because it's the smaller of these two values. I did not change state, and the end of my window changed because I now have a new ACK. And so the start of my window changed, which the start of your window is always the last ACK. All right, so now let's see what happens. Process A sends as much as it can. Fill in rows until A either sends all 14,000 bytes or until it cannot send more data. How many bytes have I sent so far? I've sent 3. I can just highlight these. Look down here, I've sent 4,500 bytes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to have to do a little bit of chicanery with my spreadsheet, but it'll be okay. I'm going to come down here. This is send packet 4. And I will copy this, Control C, I'll put it right here, Control V. Now this is going to be equal to the last, again, the last byte I sent plus 1. All right, and then I'm using a full MSS. I'm going to make the end of the window equal to the previous end of the window. This 44.6 is less than 46.5, so I can send that data. The length is 1500. I'm going to say, hey, the ACK is 32,501. I'm going to actually make it equal that so I can do a copy more easily. The window size, the Kong win, the current window size don't change. I'm in good shape. So here I'm at event 6, send packet 5, and I can now borrow from up here, because these formulas will work. And notice 46.1, oops, I need this to be equal that. Hang on. Oh, I got the wrong. There we go. 46.5 is the end. All right. So here's send packet 6. This is the 6th packet I sent. Now things are going to get interesting. The start of it is 46.1. But if I send 1500 bytes, let's just copy this real quick. Then I'm going to be sending up to 47.559, and that's more than I'm allowed to send. The end of my window is 46.5. So the last byte I can send is 46.500, and that is a actually this should be equal that plus 1. There we go, 46.101. So this is actually a 400 byte packet, and I still have the same ACK 32.501. Still have these numbers are still the same. Nothing here changes. And I'm done. I can't send any more data because I have now sent all the way through the end of my window. All right. And so I've done part 3 for the problem. Now this is just telling me, this is poorly worded, I can see that, but this is just saying after sending 3 more segments, process A receives an ACK for B on 38.601. Hey, there are those 3 segments. So event 8 is receive ACK 38.601. Okay, so I've got a receive ACK thing here. Control C. I'm going to copy it down here. And did I get the RTT for this is 100? So see, I already have my formula over here that uses, make sure it's using the right. Yep, it's using the previous estimated RTT and the current RTT to calculate a new one. And the ACK received is 38601. And now I have a new end of window at 52.600. Notice my congestion avoidance window went up because I just grew a little bit. I just had a successful ACK. And so everything's looking pretty good here. I've received an ACK. The end of my window is now much further. And what I can now do is I can now continue to punch out about 6,000 more bytes. And the last part of the thing says, after B receives all 14,000 bytes from this transmission, it sends 2 acknowledgments, and we'll figure that out in just a second. How many bytes have I sent so far? I'm going to highlight all these in this column. This is why you got to do this with a spreadsheet. I've sent 7,900 bytes. I need to send 6,100 more bytes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first copy this guy right here. And this is going to work because that had a previous copied cell. That goes to 48,000. I'll copy the next 2 here. See what I get. I'm not quite up to the end of my. Let's see here. What went wrong here? Oh, okay. I just need to copy this formula here. But notice that this is now I can send 1,500 bytes. Oops, 1500. All right. So where am I at? How many bytes have I sent? I've sent 12,400. I need to send 1,600 more. So I'm going to send, and that's convenient because there are 1,600 bytes left in the window. So here's this last thing. Control C, Control V, and I send 1,500 bytes. And then I'm going to have one more where I send only 100 bytes because that's all I have left to send. So this is equal to, I'll make this equals this plus 100 minus 1. You have to count the starting byte. All right. And now I've sent everything. I'm at the end of the window. And I've also, if I highlight all the lengths, I see that I've sent my 14,000 bytes down here. This is really important to set up a good spreadsheet. Don't try to do this by hand. Finally, I have receive ACK. These aren't numbered, so we'll make them up. I've got receive ACK 51001 and receive ACK 52601. So basically everything's going to be acknowledged. And this one was the round trip times for these were both 95. So I'll put 95, 95, and I can go back to one of my receive ACK rows and just now copy it. Control C, Control V, except I'm going to have to change the reference on this cell to refer to the last estimate. And the ACK number received is 511001. That moves the window size up to 65,100, no problem. And I can do basically the same thing again. Control C, Control V. I'm going to edit this so it refers to the previous RTT. Now notice that the RTT is slowly coming down because I'm getting better transmission times. And in this case, this is going to be 52601 is the final ACK. That moves my window out to 66,600, which is appropriate because I can send 14,000 bytes. And you've now got a table that shows you all these values, and you can now come in here and put the correct values in what's the last byte sent for system A. That would be 52600. So you just write it right here, 52600. What's the last ACK sent by system A? Well, that hasn't changed, so we copy that from above. The threshold has changed. No, it hasn't. Threshold did not change. The Kong win changed, though. Current estimated RTT from our spreadsheet is 110. Oops, I don't really need that to be that big. The alpha for RTT is still 0.125. Oops, again, hitting return. Now the Kong win is 42711. 42711. The last receive window sent, that's not going to change. The MSS is still 1500, and so on and so forth. You just fill these in from either copying them from up here or just reading them right off the spreadsheet that you made. All right, that's it. I hope that is helpful to you in doing the homework, and I strongly encourage you to go back and watch this video again. You're going to have to pay a little attention to how you set these formulas up, and when you copy, when you just copy formulas down into lower rows, make sure that you are consistent with what you're referring to. Key things here are the first byte, the sequence number is always going to be one more than the last byte sent of the previous packet. And your end of window is always going to be equal to the current window size plus the last ACK that was received. And that ACK number only changes when B sends an ACK. All right. When that happens, you move the end of the window out further, and that allows you to transmit more data. All right. Good luck, and please email me if you have problems. This has been a long example, but I thought it was important for you guys.